everyone. Thanks for listening to Wake Up, Look Up, a podcast where we connect events happening in real time to the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm Zach Weihrauch. And in today's episode, we're asking a simple question. Can we admit failure? This is prompted by something I read this week about the NYU School of Medicine. 6 years ago, NYU was the 11th ranked medical school in the country, and it became the first top-ranked medical school to go entirely tuition-free. That's because a billionaire gave a $100 million gift that in perpetuity would fund medical school at NYU for free. And the goal of the gift was pretty simple. Most doctors graduate with a ton of student loan debt. And as a result, they have to make economic decisions more than passion-driven decisions. It also makes medical school cost prohibitive for many students who can't afford to go into that kind of debt. So as a result, the billionaire gave $100 million thinking two things would happen. One is medical graduates, now free from crippling debt, would be free to choose things like pediatrics or family medicine, where there's a shortage of doctors, and wouldn't have to go chase the more lucrative forms of medicine because they wouldn't be climbing out of debt. The other thing they hoped would happen is that it would diversify the student body at NYU School of Medicine. The thinking being that if you took the cost out of it, more and more students from underprivileged backgrounds and minority backgrounds would be able to go to medical school and the student body would become more diverse. Now, 6 years later, 6 years and $100 million, the program has been a colossal failure. That's right. It has produced absolutely none of the outcomes it purported to produce. The student body at NYU is not more diverse, it's less diverse. In fact, as a result of this tuition-free program, Black students at the school, for example, have gone from 12% of the student body 6 years ago to now 3% of the student body. In fact, a survey of the students at NYU School of Medicine shows that they are whiter and wealthier than they have ever been. The result of going tuition-free is that more and more white, wealthy students applied and as a result got accepted and got in. It's also true that it's produced 0% change in the fields that students are choosing. In fact, there's no increase in students choosing less lucrative forms of medicine. They continue to go towards more lucrative outcomes because it's best for them financially. 6 years, $100 million, an absolute failure. But that's not really my point. I love this idea. I mean, 6 years ago, if a billionaire had said to me, I'm thinking about giving $100 million to NYU School of Medicine, and I'm hoping it produces these outcomes, I would have said, wow, that's incredibly generous. And I totally see how you think giving that money is going to produce these outcomes. It's a great idea. It's a big swing. I'm an idea guy. I love that. What's disturbing to me is now after 6 years and clear, tangible evidence that the idea didn't work, no one is willing to admit that. In fact, the end of the article quotes NYU School of Medicine as saying, hey, we were the first top medical school in the country to go tuition free, and hopefully we won't be the last. But they should be the last because actually it hasn't worked. And as a leader, maybe I feel this intuitively, but there's a problem we're coming up against as a culture, which is it's great to swing big, but we'll never really advance or make progress or move forward as a culture if we can't admit it when we get it wrong. There's a lot to be learned in failure. There's a lot to be learned in defeat, which is why we should admit both of those when they're a reality and move forward. But especially as Christians, listen, as Christians in the church and outside the church, do we have a category for failure? Are we willing to swing big knowing that we might miss? And when we miss, are we able to say we didn't get the job done? I mean, look, the reality is that the gospel of Jesus should free us from the tyranny of having to get it right. The gospel of Jesus says that my worth and my value isn't in getting every idea right. It's in what God has done for me in Jesus Christ. The gospel of Jesus also tells me that I'm a broken, flawed sinner in need of redemption and grace. So it follows that I probably will get it wrong sometimes. And when I do, I should be the most able to admit it. Now, here's the thing, as Christians, if we do that, two things are going to be true. One is our faith is going to shine in the midst of a secular world, which cannot admit failure because it would be a threat existentially to their individual value. We can show the truthfulness of the gospel by being willing to be the first ones to say, we're sorry, we blew it, we got it wrong. But second, the companies we lead, the families, the churches that we lead can actually move ahead because in admitting failure and pulling apart why we failed, we're going to figure out what we actually need to do to get it right. Listen, the gospel of Jesus should empower and enable you to admit when you don't get it right. And in the rubble of that, not only will you know and feel God's love in a new way, because you'll realize God doesn't love you because you're successful, but also you will be able to really lead. Can we admit failure? I sure hope so, because the key to glorifying God might be doing just that. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. While you're here, we'd love to ask you to hit subscribe or to like so you get future content. If you listen to the audio version too, make sure you leave a review and a comment. That really helps. Consider sharing it on social media and helping us get the word out. And hey, while you're here, check out all the other content that Christ Community Chapel is putting out, including the videos that are around me right now.